You, Jeremy. No, I got no. Yeah, don't mind him. We're just finished. I got to finish that up in a second. But listen, congratulations. You're the Pro Bowl special teams guy. You're the starter. You earned it, young man. Everything you've done, and I know your mom would be proud. You earned it, young man.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Yo, he wouldn't stop.
Congrats, dude.
Love you too.
All right. Nah, you earned it. Like I said, man. I just appreciate you trusting me.
Always, Coach. Told you I want to do a big ball for you.
Nah, I know you would too. Well, I appreciate you.
The Fred Minnick Show is brought to you by 291 Colorado Whiskey, by Michter's, and by Heaven Hill Brands.
And joining the Fred Minnick Show, All Pro Jeremy Reaves. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. How are you doing, my man? Thanks for having me on again.
Absolutely. I got to tell you, I get really excited when I see someone work their tail off and go through at adversity and get rewarded. So when I had the opportunity to send you some great whiskey, I jumped at it. So congratulations to you and all of your recent accomplishments, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Definitely appreciate it for sure.
So you've been in the NFL for 4 years, right? Is it 4 or is it 5? 4?
I just finished my 5th year. So
this is your 5th year. Okay, so you've been in the NFL for 5 years. Uh-huh. You've been on practice squads and just never giving up. So many players in that situation just would have said, you know what? I think I'm going to go sell cars, or I'm going to go sell insurance, or I'm going to tap into my college, Why did you keep plugging away?
There's that conversation of like, you hear it all the time. Well, you have to have a plan B, right? You have to have like a fallback plan. Like in reality, like there was no plan B. Do I know I could go out there and 100% form a plan B? Yes. Like, did I have ideas of what I wanted to do? Yes. I wasn't just gonna like go into the world, and not have any idea what I was going to do if football didn't work. Mm-hmm. But I wasn't preparing for that. I was preparing for plan A to work. And plan A had to work. And so I put all my focus on that. I think, sometimes we get so caught up in like making sure you have a backup plan that you don't put your full attention on the first plan. And so I just went through with the mentality of plan A has to work. And if it doesn't, then I'll focus on plan B. But I just put all my attention there, and I just wasn't going to be denied, and that's how I kind of kept my mentality the whole time, even when things weren't going my way.
And when you were told that you were going to make the Pro Bowl, that your coach told you, and that video went viral. What were you feeling in that moment?
Just like the 5-year-old kid who played football for the first time came out of me, man. And the kid that fell in love with football came out, and also all the things that I experienced, all the trials and tribulations of everything that I've been through in my career, going back to like high school. I broke my back in high school, and recruitment went down, and then I only had South Alabama, and I signed there, and then I went undrafted out of college after a great college career, and then going into the league. I'm a practice squad guy, and I'm going up and down on rosters from playing in playoff games against Tom in 2020 to, getting cut again. And so the emotional roller coaster of my career just came out, because it's that moment of like, you finally got over the cusp of like, you finally got over the label of, he's just a practice squad guy, or he's a guy that, he's just a guy that can help us, in spots, but now you establish yourself as somebody who's one of the best players in the league, and yeah, it was just you think about all of that in that split second.
Yeah. And I know, you've talked about your mama, whom you lost in the last couple of years. Some of that had to be, like you had to be a little bit of like, all the things she was there for you.
Oh, 1,000%. It was my mother. Like the year before she passed, she really grew in her faith, right? So it's kind of crazy. Parents have intuition, right? I'm not a parent, but you hear it all the time, and um, I never went to my parents with my stuff that I was dealing with internally because I was a man and I didn't want to go dump those things on my parents, because I feel like they would understand. But my mother always knew. She always knew, and I would never say anything, but she would always send me a text just like, "Hey, you know, when God is for you, it doesn't matter what man is against you." I still have those messages to this day. Just like when I go into those times where sometimes I might have doubt, she that reassurance, and she was always reassuring of me, and so it was 100%. Just with everything that I went through this past year, and then just how it all played out. Like, yeah, that was the first person I thought of was like, Mom. It's like you've been up there working hard for your baby boy, and just like everything that we went through, you were right. You were right. So yeah.
Well, that's awesome. You still have those messages, and that she was such a big part of your of you staying with it. Hey, one of the things that when your resume comes up, I always go to the South Alabama, going to South Alabama because that is not an easy out. When people play South Alabama, they're gonna get some fight.
No, absolutely.
You all fight hard. I've seen you all play a lot. Are there a lot of teammates in the NFL from South Alabama?
So actually, right now we have a program high. It's three of us. So it's me.
Okay.
It's Gerald Everett. Actually, his jersey's back there. And then Jalen Tolbert, who was just drafted this past year to Dallas. So
Okay.
it's three of us right now. Fairly young, but it'll continue to grow.
Yeah, it's a great school. And it's like I remember seeing them play. I think it was I think maybe you all were playing Tulane or something like that, and just like, and it was a dogfight. It was just an incredible game. But
That's it's the small school mentality of like always having something to prove. Like you get labeled as this group of five, and that the competition is not the same as when we go play SEC schools or whatever that label is. But we take that personally, and that adds a chip on our shoulder. So every game is like you're gonna get our best punch because we got the underdog mentality.
Okay. Well, I love. Now, is there a little bit of a if you're in when you're in Alabama, and you tell someone you play for South Alabama, do they look at you differently because you're not going to Crimson Tide or Auburn?
I will say in the most recent years, it's kind of gotten away from that because South has kind of formed its own identity. When I was there, we beat Mississippi State and we beat a ranked San Diego State. So like we played in some big games where like we won and we like won like big. And so it's kind of shifted away from that. But when I first got to college, it was like anybody that I talked to, like whether they were from the South or from the North or anywhere, right? I say I play at South Alabama, they're like what is school is that? Only schools I know in Alabama are Alabama and Auburn. So now it's kind of South and the Troys. They've all formed their own kind of identity just because they've been winning the big games. South plays. I think actually, yeah, I went over there yesterday and South plays Tulane. I think one of the first three games of the year this year. Tulane just beat SC. So
yes, they did. That was a great game, by the way.
It was a great game. That was
fun to watch. I I always love it when the small schools beat the little ones. My favorite probably of all time is seeing Appalachian State beat Michigan.
They do that. People get so surprised. I don't understand about App State, and I'm like, dude, they do this. They've been doing this for a long time.
Yes, they do. Good squad over there.
Good
Well,
squad.
I sent you some really good whiskey. I sent you the Michter's US1 toasted sour mash, and then the 10-year rye from Michter's. And this is this began as like a celebration for you making the Pro Bowl.
Right.
And after I saw that video, and then oh, by the way, guess who's an All Pro? One of one.
Right.
So
right.
all right. So talk me through. You explained how it felt to become a Pro Bowler, which that is amazing, but All Pro, that's another level. That's your peers saying that you're not one of the best. You are the best at your position. Right. What was that like?
It's crazy. It's funny. I was just having this conversation the other day. I actually wasn't surprised about All Pro, right? Because at the beginning of the year, and our coach will vouch for this. We had just played Detroit. It was like the third game of the year, and they gassed us on teams. They gassed us. I think they had one return past the 50. They had like another one that was a 50-yard plus return. And so I was pissed. So we got into the building that next Monday for meetings and everything, and our assistant coach was down there, and he was like, "Hey, that was a tough one." I was like, "Yeah, it was, but I'm telling you now, like that ain't gonna happen again because I'm about to play at an All-Pro level." He was like, "Yeah," I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be an All-Pro for sure." And he was like, "All right, well, don't jinx it." I'm like, "No, I'm telling you now, I'm gonna be an All-Pro. Like you're hearing it out of my mouth now."
Wow.
And so that was the standard. Like from that point on, I played to that standard of like All-Pro mentality, period. Like, and then midway during the season, like the guys on the team started calling me All-Pro before this was even like a thing. And so like I kind of just spoke that into it. I spoke that on into life, and then I acted on it. Like I carried myself in a way that, like I wanted to be an All-Pro, and so it didn't. The Pro Bowl surprised me because my mentality, I wasn't thinking about the Pro Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. Like I was thinking about like I gotta be an All-Pro, right? I gotta be an All-Pro. And then the Pro Bowl caught me so off guard. I was like, I didn't have time to really process that. And then the way they did it with the theatrics and everything, I was like, okay, you guys, all right, y'all set that up perfect because I had no idea. But the All Pro, like that came out, I was already like, yeah, well, that's what I'm playing for. So it didn't really shock me.
Oh, well, it was awesome. It's awesome, and the fight. You're an inspiration for anyone who is who's been rejected or cut or anything. I'm a writer, right? So our story is we get rejected a lot before we get published.
Right.
And then now I'm in another media sphere. Now it's a well, you're not this and you're not that, and you just keep doing what you do. And like you, my friend, are an inspiration for everyone trying to try to live their dream. And for that, let's have a little toast here. Let's start with this Michter's the sour mash here. This is their toasted. So give this a little smell. Bring it here. I'll bring it back and forth.
That good.
Yeah, it smells great.
I've never really drank like bourbon, honestly, but this doesn't.
Wait, this is your first time to have like a whiskey?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. Look at it. It's our first time for everything, right?
Wow. I mean, so we make the Pro Bowl, you make the All Pro team, and now it's whiskey drinking time.
Whiskey drinking time. I like it. Start my day off right.
Yes, sir. And by the way, so we're recording this now. It's 10 in the morning. You told me right before we went on the air that you that you are you already had your workout in, you had your breakfast. What's your workout like? What do you do?
Well, right now I'm just, I'm kind of on a cardio movement just because it's so early in the off season, and I'm not trying to, go kill myself right now before we go to OTAs. Because that's pretty much workouts when we first get back anyway. So I just do a little cardio. I'll get on the bike for 30 minutes, or I'll get on the treadmill for 30 minutes to an hour, and just move around. That way I'm not just sitting around all day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's what I do. This right here is my cardio. It's like got to really work on this shoulder. Got a rotator issue.
Good cardio though. Good cardio right here though.
So when you smell spirit, you want to smell with your mouth slightly open, because you bring it in here, smell with your mouth slightly open. You'll pick up. You should pick up a little bit different aroma because your nose is like cycling it out. What do you smell here when you smell this?
It's got like a sweeter, like I want to say cinnamon-ish kind of.
Definitely. So you're tracking. There's definitely some cinnamon in this. This uses a secondary barrel that's toasted and brings out a lot of spice to it.
Yeah.
And now when you taste, you just want to put a little bit on your tongue, kind of see how it feels on the way back. Really focus on how it feels on your tongue.
Right.
And when doesn't work for everybody, and everyone's palate is different, but for me, I get sweet stuff on the tip, I get savory on the middle, and I get like bitterness in the middle toward the back, and I get a spiciness toward the back. So I like to put it on my tongue and just kind of let it sit there for a minute and focus on what part of the tongue it's hitting. And usually a flavor component will pop out while I'm going through that process. So, but don't shoot it. Just put a little bit on your tongue here. So
Okay. I ain't gonna shoot it at 10 a.m. Oh yeah, that's smooth. I see what you're talking about now with the. So I'm definitely getting sweet.
Feel it in the sweet area?
Yeah, I'm definitely getting sweet.
Okay. So now focus on that. Think about the sweet things you like. You're a Florida boy, so you all have a lot of banana kind of sweets there, right? You all have like a lot of banana treats there.
Yeah.
Actually, what did you grow up eating as from the sweet side?
What's crazy? I was never a sweets guy. I mean, the most I would eat from sweets, I guess you could count Cinnamon Toast Crunch and cereal as sweets, but that's what that was like my thing. That's all. Like, I never really was into candy. I never really was into like anything like that. I just I still eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch to this day. Like, that's my go-to.
So that's why, like, if you spot cinnamon in a whiskey, you got that thing nailed, because that's years of training right there.
Yeah. Years of training since I was like a kid. Years and years of training. Hey man, you got some good whiskey, brother.
This is tasty.
It is.
Right. What do you taste? What is there a brown sugar note in here?
I'm definitely getting like a little Cinnamon Toast Crunch for
okay.
sure. A little cinnamon. I'm getting. I can't think of it. Like, there's a different spice taste I'm getting right now, but I can't put it like a thumb on it. It's kind of. I don't know. It tastes. It's got like a. Okay. I'm gonna give you a short. I just cooked the other day, right?
Right.
I was using this spice that I bought from the that we have like an international spices store here.
Yeah.
And it has kind of like what the heck is the name of it? It's like a. I want to say it's like the spice. It's got like a Indian-ish.
It's an Indian spice.
Yeah, but
okay,
it's a hint of that, but it's also like mine is just honestly it's like more cinnamon too though. But like I got this secondary that is like kind of this like Indian and spices kind of. I don't know how to describe it. Honestly.
Well, first of all, I love what you're saying here. You're telling me that you've got a palate, right? So everything you're describing, everything you're talking about, you're basically showing that you can pick things up. You're paying attention to your tongue, and that's the first step of being a taster. So, and this being your first whiskey tasting ever, that's impressive.
Not bad, huh?
That's pretty impressive.
This is good whiskey.
It's pretty good, and the last part of a tasting like this is how long is it still on the tongue, and that's the finish. So, do you still feel it on your tongue?
Yeah, 1,000%.
So it's still there, just kind of hanging out. You can still
like
kind of feel it. Yeah.
It's like
So that's a long finish.
Yeah.
So all right, we're going into championship weekend. The Commanders were, I mean, you all were close. You all were really close to making the playoffs. And the NFC East, that was a tough league or tough division this year.
Right.
But who do you think's going to win between Philadelphia and San Francisco?
Honestly, that's going to be a great game from a defensive standpoint because both defenses are very solid. What's going to come down to that game is who is going to make the stops, like the big stops, right? Like you saw in the Dallas game, like that game wasn't a high scoring game. This will be the same way. But from a team standpoint right now, I think Philly has it going with Jalen Hurts and what he's doing offensively, and then that defense and playing in the link is different. I mean, playoff football on the link is very, very different. And I mean, you saw that Minnesota game a few years ago when Philly won the Super Bowl. I mean, that place was rocking, and it's going to be rocking on Sunday. So I like the Eagles in that game for sure. That's a big game. It's going to be a close one, but I think the Eagles pull it out.
Well, I'm a big fan of Brock Purdy. I like what he's doing, but I just don't know if you go into Philadelphia and can keep that composure, no matter how good you've been.
I mean, he pulls that off. Dude's got a pair on him for sure, because which he's already proven he does. I mean, he came in as the Mr. Irrelevant, whatever that freaking means. Dude's a football player. And he's won 7 straight, as a starter, and he got his team in the NFC Championship. Like, that says a lot about the kid, I got the utmost respect for him. I told him after the game, I was like, dude, I don't care what nobody says about you, bro. You're a ball player, man. You're a hell of a player, like, regardless. And, just what he's done, his composure and how he's handled himself, like, I like him, I'm curious to see how he responds in that setting, because that's going to be the test. Philly is as wild as it gets, so I'll be very curious.
So as a player, an active player, when you're watching these games, do you try to get a viewing that's not like with the commentators going, or will you watch what all of us, normal people watch?
No, I'll turn on the TV and watch it just like everybody else does, like
you don't mute the announcers?
Nah. Honestly, though, I'm so tuned out of that just because most of these teams I've played, so I'm looking at it from a player standpoint of oh, they're in this formation, oh, they're about to do this, so I'm looking at situations and what they're doing, teams are doing, and oh, I've seen that before. They're about to come back with this after this play, so. I'm looking at it from a player standpoint, so I honestly don't even hear what the commentators are saying most of the time.
It's good for you, because most of us, we just what did he say? And then we get on Twitter and it's the commentating on the commentators has become its own sport. So
right.
All right, so let's go to the Michters, the 10-year. This one's got a bit of a tricky.
I gotta go grab it. Let's do it on the counter.
We don't have to do both. If you're good,
No,
you're good to do both.
No,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm good. Oh yeah, I'm gonna do both. I just forgot it on the counter. Man, I wish. Ah, man. So you said this one's got a tricky.
Yeah, this one's a little that little band. Like if that thing rips off,
Uh-huh.
if you can get it off, then you're good. But if you lose that tag,
I got what you're saying.
yeah, it's hard to open. Looks like you got it.
We're good to go.
Yeah, you anytime you see wax, you're like, don't break the tag, because then you have to get a pocket knife out, and
Oh yeah.
that ain't no fun. All right, remember your training. This is a rye whiskey, so this is made with the majority of rye, and actually tends to have a lot of those cinnamon notes that you like.
Yeah, that's off the rip.
Yeah.
Like off the jump.
Definitely smell a lot of cinnamon in those.
It's actually I smell more cinnamon in this one than the first one.
This is yummy. All right, here we go.
Let's do it. Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a celebration of an all pro right there.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I like this one a lot. I like this one. Oh yeah. You might have me at 10 o'clock, pouring up a glass by myself, having one watching a little TV show. Undisputed.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to that, brother. Well, undisputed.
Man, they've been getting interesting lately. At some point, Shannon Sharp's going to jump across the table and punch Skip Bayless. It's going to happen.
Oh, 1,000%. It's coming. It's 1,000%. I don't know when, but it's coming. 1,000%.
Like that whole Damar Hamlin thing.
Yeah, that was wild.
How in his right mind did he think it was okay to tweet that? You know, I don't know. It's crazy.
I have no idea, because I got what he was trying to say. Like, I understand, but it's just like, in that moment, like, nobody cares about football, right? Like,
right.
I didn't care about football. I didn't care about, like, anything else but making sure this kid was okay, like.
Right.
Because I didn't see it initially. Like, I had to get on Twitter to see it. And then I saw that, and I'm like, my natural reaction was it pissed me off.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, like, football doesn't matter right now. Like, this kid who has made this routine tackle like every one of us 1,000 times.
And
like,
by the way, your defensive back brethren,
right.
that's you in that position.
It could have been me, right?
Yeah.
It could have easily been me. I made that hit 1,000 times, like 1,000 times, right? And so just to have was in that, in that time, it seemed just like a lack of like empathy, really kind of set everybody off in the league, like.
It reminded me of Adam Schefter's tweet about your former teammate, Dwayne Haskins, who
right.
passed away, and being a, like, in a weird way in the media,
right.
I can understand how you would want to put information of that person's career or something, in that particular notice, but I think we've just moved past. I think what's evolved here is that, people are trying to get the media to look at players as more than just a statistic, and that's the point that I think is being missed by some of the people in the NFL media. And I have a lot of friends on that side, and they
Right.
treat, like Ian Rappaport, Mike Garofalo, they treat players with respect and courtesy, and I think that's what you all want.
Right, yeah, because at the end of the day, like uniform, helmet, jersey, all that aside, like I'm a man, we people, right? And so
Right.
like we feel and experience things just like you do and everybody else in the world does, right? And so it's just that we just ask for humility. Honestly, that's what it is. Like we are people who just ask for humility, and I made this point earlier that we're held to such a high standard about what we post and how we say things on the internet, and like our words have meaning. um but the media has to be held to that same standard, because their words have meaning and their stories carry on, so like we in the media have to be held to the same standard. Like if you're gonna hold us to that standard, like they should be held to that standard too, because like we've seen, like obviously where things are said, maybe out of context they're taken or whatever, but the point is like what was written is what was understood, and that stuff matters, man. And so
Yeah.
it needs to be a two-way street with that for sure.
Yeah, so the whole Shannon Sharp, Skip Bayless thing, I just it's going to come to blows at some point, and then just the other day, Skip Bayless is at a basketball game talking about a player and his dad doesn't want this smoke. I'm just like, yeah, that man is not going to be able to contain himself on set, and I do not think it's a front at all. I think that stuff.
Nah, Shannon's a freaking former player, right?
Yeah.
So he has a mentality of a player, right? It's like, I mean, you have to know how to turn it on and off, but like when it's on, it's on. Like it's on. And like that mentality is on. Like it's like no way around that. And so like when he was like that, like I know he was in that mode, like 100%. And so it definitely will 1,000% get to that point.
Yeah. What was the? It was who was the Jim Everett and Jim Rome when Jim Rome kept calling him Chris Everett. Like,
Yeah.
if anybody listening or watching this, Google that and you'll see Jim Everett, who was a very good quarterback for the Rams back in the day, and Chris Everett was a tennis player. And Jim, one of those shock jock kind of guys, would always say, "Hey, Chris," and then he's like,
Right.
and he took him out. So
Took him clean out.
yeah. So all right, so you really like the 10-year. You like the 10-year rye here.
I do like the 10-year ride. I'm not gonna lie. I really like that, and I've never had like whiskey bourbon.
Wow.
Never was really a bourbon drinker. But
What do you normally drink?
like I honestly big beer guy. If I'm gonna drink me some beer. Give me a Michelob Ultra and call it a day.
You gotta. I mean, you have like no fat, so like you can go to these other like beers that have a little bit more calories.
More calories?
Yeah.
I know. So like, we have a world of beer here.
Oh yeah, those are great.
And I love world of beer, so like I'll go there and I'll just go test a bunch of beer all day. So I mix it up from time to time. But if I'm like on the beach and I'm like having a day out there on the boat or something, then definitely like taking some Michelob and just chilling.
So you go out on the ocean a lot?
Yes. So me and my buddy and I will take out he'll take out his boat, and we'll just kind of go have a day. His dad or somebody will charter it. We'll pay for a charter, and we'll just go out on the boat, and have a day. But I don't know if you're familiar with Pensacola very well, but like we've got we got the bay, and then we got the Gulf. I'm not messing with the Gulf. I mean, if I go deep sea fishing out there, we'll go like 30, 40 miles out. But
that's where all the sharks are, right? Like the Gulf, that's where all the sharks are.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, heck, you can, if you go on our pier, on our beach, you go look down from the top of the pier, it's just sharks swimming all through there, like all day. So it's big shark territory. It's not very, depends on the season, honestly, it's not very aggressive, but we have the Gulf and the Bay. So the Bay, obviously, is the Sound, which is way smoother. You get way better boat waters. And so we'll take the boat out there, and They have little tiki bars that will come up, that will pull up boat bars that'll pull up and ask you if you want something to drink. It's a cool little setup, man. I love it
Awesome.
out there.
Well, I'm always a little hesitant about going out on boats, on the ocean. And I don't know why, Jeremy, but I watch, so like you get on Instagram, I have this thing about watching boats capsize on Instagram. I probably shouldn't watch that stuff.
Nah. But I mean, it's a worthy fear to have. We had a time where the plug in the boat came off and then the engine fell off, and there was a storm coming in, and so the boat. I've had some scary times on the boat, and then the boat actually started to sink, like. So we got life vests on and everything, and there's a storm like behind us, because like on the Gulf, you can't really prepare for a storm. Like a storm will just cook up out of nowhere, and boom, now you gotta like floor it. Well, we don't have any engine to floor it with because it fell off the boat, and the plug of the boat is now gone too, so it's starting to sink. So
wow,
this is when I was like in high school, and so there's nobody out there. Storm's brewing, it's lightning, waves picking up. I'm like, man, this is awful. This is like an awful way to go if this is how I'm going. Like, God, please don't let it be like this. I'm like, what's the movie, Castaway?
Yeah.
I'm like, Castaway. I'm like, oh, man, come on. So we put out an emergency signal. We had a boat that was like in 5 miles of us. Thank God. I don't know why this boat was out there. It was an older couple. They came and got us, took us to shore, towed the boat back in. It was like scariest thing of my life, 1,000%.
Wow.
Yeah.
So all you just did was solidify the fact that I'm not going to be going out on these boats.
Yeah, 1,000%. 1,000%. Yeah. I mean, if you're not a boat guy, don't go in the Gulf. Don't go in the Gulf.
I can handle the Caribbean. The nice like if we get a boat stranded out there, like, you know what? These fish, if they end up eating me, they're beautiful fish and they can eat me and it'll be fine.
Well, you can look straight down and see everything that you need to see. You know, like at 20 miles out in the Gulf, you're not gonna see nothing. You can't even see your hand right there below the surface.
Yeah, it's I'm good. So, all right. So in the AFC, you got some. I don't. The Bengals have kind of become like this team of trash talk. Like, I mean, they are becoming like they would make Shannon Sharp proud. With the amount of trash talk they're doing. I feel like they're disrespecting Kansas City a little bit here, calling it Burrowhead.
Yeah, that's a bold statement, but I mean, if you go off of facts, they've won the past 3 times, so like,
yeah.
I mean, you got to give Joe Burrow his credit. I mean, the dude is a freaking dude, but Pat Mahomes is a dude as well, so
right.
Like, it's exciting because it adds more to that game. Like, it adds more excitement. Like, that'll probably be the most watched game just because of the trash talk that has been made, right?
Yeah. And what's Eli Apple? How's Eli Apple gonna react if he gets burned? If Kittle just like squares up on him and burns him or something.
Like I never heard Eli Apple talking any trash until like this past game. I might have been just like ignorant to it, but like it seems like in the playoffs, like Eli comes like full steam ahead, and he's like, you. So
I mean, he went scorched earth on Twitter for the Bills. I think he has a real thing against the Bills.
Yeah, he went absolutely scorched earth. I was on Twitter like, yo, this dude's a menace. Like, this dude is a menace. He just doesn't care.
How do you react to trash talk like that?
Oh, I'd love so like if I'm playing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's like poking the bear with me because if you talking, I'm talking right back, and so we're just gonna be going back and forth. Like the competitive in me, like I'm not backing down from nothing. So like if you want to talk, we can talk. If you want to get physical, we can get physical. Like that's just. So I kind of feed into it. I feed into it, and then I might, take it a little step further, depending on the situation. But that's just part of the game, it's part of it. It's that gladiator mentality.
Right. Absolutely.
So
As long as the refs don't catch it, then it's all good, right?
1,000%. Yeah, you gotta do it on the slide. Like you might tackle a guy and be like, yeah, like, you might say something slick to him as he's getting up or anything. You might be running past a guy, like as you run crossing fast, you might say something slick, bump him, something like nonchalant.
So who are you taking in that game? Who do you like in the Cincinnati, Kansas City?
I gotta see how healthy Pat's gonna be. I gotta see how healthy. I mean, they said he was practicing. He was a full go, so like that's a positive. Which that's crazy for a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
But I mean, if I'm
Going back to Andy Reid's Philadelphia days, he would have players very regularly that would be injured, and you would go into the game thinking that they weren't really that injured. They come down, find out, like, Terrell Owens is like playing with like a torn ACL or something like that.
yeah.
So I don't know. High ankle sprains, those are hard to play on.
You'll know the first drive because if they come out running the ball a lot, then you'll know like it's a factor. Right, because they want Pat on the move, throwing on the run. They want him moving around. So if they come out just running the ball consistently, then you'll be able to tell.
Oh man, but even if he's healthy, I still think I'm taking Cincinnati just because
I'm taking them too. I'm not gonna lie, I'm taking Cincinnati.
Yeah, that's that team, those receivers, that running back, but the it factor with Joe Burrow,
I want to see that game too. Because if Philly wins, I want to see that matchup with Slade, Jamar Chase, Bradbury, Higgins, and Boyd. I want to see that matchup. That'd be freaking good as far as like good on good.
Yeah. All right. So you obviously you're all pro special teams. Who has the best kickoff coverage of the four teams left?
The Niners, 1,000%.
Niners? Okay.
1,000%. I think they led in tackles inside the 20. 1,000%. Yeah, they led with tackles inside the 20 on kickoff. Their kicker hangs it up. He hangs it up there, and like it's rarely going 5 deep. He's gonna kick it, deepest 1 or 2, and like those boys go hunt.
Yeah.
They go hunt. So they definitely got the best kickoff unit.
That's awesome. Well, look, you're going to be going to the Pro Bowl here in a week. Like you're going to. It's in Vegas, right?
Yes, sir.
So that'll be a good time. What will you be doing there? I know it's very different this year. It's a flag football game, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how do you fit in that? How does that work?
So yeah, I had that question because like I was like, oh, it's pretty sweet. I'm going to the Pro Bowl. But then I was like, wait, it's flag. Like, I don't know what any of the guys like specialists, special teamers, offensive line, defensive line. Like, what are you gonna do in this game, right? Like, is it just the 7-on-7 skills competition, 7-on kind of thing, or like what? But from the way it sounds, it's like I'll start it off like playing defense, I guess, and then like it'll be like a rotate thing. That's what I'm under the impression of. I haven't really looked at the itinerary in all honesty.
I think my head started like, what are the big offensive linemen gonna do?
Right.
But then again, we saw Zeke Elliott get pancaked on the last play of the Dallas game, so we know, if that's inbounds for a flag football game, you're gonna want the beef snapping the ball. So
right. So I'm curious to see how it all shakes out. I think it'll be fun for sure, nonetheless.
Since Dallas is your rival, did you like go back and watch that play over and over and over again?
Nah, I was just like, what? what was like in game for this play? Like, I'm really curious.
Yeah, that was. I bet it looked good in practice. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, yeah, facts.
Well, man, I know this won't be the last time we hang out or talk, but I'm glad you like both the whiskeys, especially the 10-year. That's for you. That's for you to celebrate on a couple amazing accomplishments, and what's going to be a great year for you next year too, because you're not just special teams, man. You're not just special teams.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. You're at a place where that safety position, the defensive back position. You've got so many Hall of Famers, so many great players, and that defensive backfield over the years.
No doubt.
Now you used to play running back too. Are you like a backup running back on the team or anything?
Heck no, those days long gone, man. Nah, I like delivering the hit, not receiving the hit. No shot. Because I know how I like to tackle. I'm getting physical, so like I'm not trying to get hit like that Nah, I'm okay.
No more running back for Jeremy Reaves. I love it. Well, man, thanks for coming on and enjoy that whiskey, and it won't be the last we have together, my friend. So,
absolutely not, brother. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Absolutely. Cheers.